We'd love to work with them. If anybody's here from the Redeemer, we'd love to work with you. In fact, the whole idea of the work group is we want to work with everybody. Nobody is excluded. We want to work with everybody because we got to build this together. It's the only way it's going to happen.
Tommy, they say on their website that they do work with youth, and it comes from this original program many years ago where they were a sponsor.
I don't know what that is, but if you have a contact, seriously, anybody has a contact?
Tito?
My name is Tito Vandermeiden. I live in the Castro now for 15 years, originally from Amsterdam, and I also came here at one point, didn't know where to go, was supposed to stay with friends, and went from couch to couch, so I know a little bit how that works, although not totally, because, you know, at one point things worked out. And the one thing that is very important is that the forum is here, and that I see faces that I actually, you know, I'm talking about topics that also, I agree with you, I've never heard about certain things, and calling the police, it's too, you know, it's kind of like immediately putting it in a certain criminal thing. And I also make an effort sometimes to talk to people, like when they're, you know, next to the Castro station, and I talk sometimes, you know, are you never ask me for money? I never give up money. That's one thing I never do. If you need a sandwich, that's fine. Or when they say, hey, old man, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, but at least I get some response, and then I just move on. But it's really nice to see actually faces and people and talk about this. I really applaud it. And the other thing about mentoring, I think, even though you were making, you know, kind of like, I hear phasing out and ages and stuff, and at one point, you know, it's kind of, it sounds very professional to me, but obviously it's something that happens. But like him, you know, wanting to mentor, and actually him, JR thought, you know, actually saying he needs a mentor. I mean, I'm also willing sometimes to talk to people and giving different perspectives and, you know, talking to people. I think it's very, very important. So I'm happy that you're here.
I'll pass this around again.
My next question is like, you know, I think we're getting a little bit off the housing topic. You know, there needs to be some type of housing in the Castro. I think the Castro is a sanctuary for not even just gay people, just for straight people feel 10 times more comfortable here. I see a lot of gay friendly too, and that amazes me. You know, they're like, well, these guys are the only people who are safe in the neighborhood. But I think the issue is without any housing, there's no walls of safety. And I can meet with Dr. Mike all day, and it wouldn't help, because when I'm back out in the streets, like Cinderella, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and after meeting with the session with him, you know what? I can't control boundaries if there's no boundaries around me. There's no walls. There's no, you can sit, I laid outside with 4 blankets the other night, and it was so cold that those blankets did not work. But I swear I felt like I had frostbite or whatever, you know. And that's the thing. Housing starts as the cycle. It's a cycle. That's priority. That's the #1 thing. From there, then you go into voluntary, whatever the client wants to do. But I know if there was a housing or a shelter, I want to say, because that's emergency, that's what we need. If there was, say, something just opened up instantly, you know, I would take that shelter, and then specifically LGBT, then I would meet with Dr. Mike, then I would start, you know, exploring my, you know, employment options, but there's just no housing.
I think that there's a lot of levels of things that the Castro needs. I think housing is huge. And I think
because there are the employment stuff, there are food.
But it's hard to have a job if you have nowhere to leave your stuff or to take a shower.
And a lot of, like, you know, there are times where I've had meetings with Beck or something, you know, I'm so exhausted, I can't get to sleep, that physically your body's on a timer. It just shuts, I'm just shut it out. And I just can't meet with these meetings. And sometimes I'll have interview housings, which I know though, and they tell you on the phone, you're not going to come in, you're not going to get housing right away. These are 6 months to a year. So when I hear that, I want to do the application, but I haven't ate, I haven't drank. I'm getting sick from the cold, you know, and that's what all these youth are experiencing. That they're just, and there's no encouragement, too. There's no, come on, get out there and do it, because we're all in the same boat, you know. And I look at our community sometimes, and another gay person's telling me, oh, you fucking faggot, you're going to be homeless for the rest of your life. And they're walking down with a Gucci bag, you know. And that's another thing. We don't have, even though it's the Castro, our community who are not homeless, or God knows if they'll even experience it, I'm sure they will, but they don't see, even the young ones, they're like, oh, And I see you, hey, can you spare a cigarette? You know, they're asking really nice, no, fuck you, won't you go buy your own cigarettes? You know, so there's a lack of understanding of homelessness in our own community in the Castro too. So the Castro can be safe to a certain point, you know.
Thoughts?
There's a lot of pretentiousness out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I'm not sure it's been said, but you know,
It's safety, it's really.
it's for me, it always starts with safety. You know, and once a youth feels safe, then they are able to expand from there. I mean, one of the people asked about, you know, community college or city college and so on. I mean, we've got kids who are getting straight A's and all that stuff, but it always starts with safety.
And school is stressful. School is stressful, so I want to go to college, but I'm telling you, I know my diagnosis, and I know the way right now that I'm heading, it's really impacting me. And if I was to go to college, that's going to put more stress on me, and I'm sure, you know.
I'm not even ready to go to
could
college yet.
understand that level. And there, like, then again, too, there are a lot of youth out there who physically want to kill themselves, and General Hospital and all these other, and they don't have, some of them don't have insurance. They're being told we can't help because of insurance. Here's a 21-year-old, sometimes 18, cutting themselves, and here's the cops. Just give me your hand, grabbing their hand while it's already cut up, and then put in general. They're released the same day.
Yep.
And then here we are having an announcement that one youth is dead. You know, and that scares a lot. That scares me.
Gentleman in the back, please.
My name is Raven. I don't live in the neighborhood. I live in the Sunset, but I'm an activist and I'm interested in any kind of thing like this. I'm aware. I don't know what this organization does, so this may not be appropriate. But I know that there is an organization called Castro for All. Right. Were they invited to participate in this, and can that, or is there some kind of partnering with that organization that could somehow be beneficial to what you all are trying to do? I don't know. Right. I've been to a lot of different types of meetings around Proposition 8 and all kinds of things, and there's always someone from Castro for All.
Yeah. You know, I think our group didn't do a lot of outreach in terms of trying to partner with other groups, but I think then Castro for All might be a logical group for us to approach at some point. And I know a lot of the folks in that group, so it is definitely something I think that we can pursue.
Raphael?
Yeah, I think in particular, I mean, in Castro for All, maybe most people know this, but it got started around Badlands and discrimination, racism, discrimination at Badlands. And the notion was that the Castro should be for everybody. Yeah. And so particularly, you know, as the more affluent aspects of the community might be whiter, and some of the youth that we would be trying to be reaching out to might be less white, it might make sense to have a group like in Castro for All.
Absolutely. Sir.
My name is Matt, and I'm up on Waller Street. And that's kind of the root of my question, is just what I'm exposed to on a daily basis is Church Street. And so I just wanted to ask about a couple things, like number one, sort of like how geographically constrained are your outreach organizations? You know, like what organizations like would be potentially serving that population there? And number two, like if you can generalize about like the demographics like in the area, you know, like if it changes in different parts of the neighborhood, like if so, you know, like how does it change? Like what are the different demographics and what are the different things that you're seeing? And you know, and therefore, you know, like kind of what might be like that subset of the population, you know, that I'm interacting with on a daily basis.
You're on Waller and Castro?
Waller and Fillmore. So like, you know, I'm like walking up to
DuBose Triangle. That's Dog Shit Park, right? Sorry, you know that park's called Dog Shit Park. I mean, you're kind of in between districts.
I take exception to that as the president.
That's what the kids call it.
You don't want to
Tribute
see
to Harvey Milk.
Go ahead. That's the explanation I've heard, is that area is in between the three police precincts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Historically, and I just wanted to know if there's any other sort of explanation, or if that's like the most basic explanation, and that sort of sums everything up.
The explanation for
what?
For just sort of like
the neglect.
Being, like, yeah, the neglect, and like that being sort of a sanctuary for a large number of unhoused.